Hello, Whisper University. Welcome back to our Leadership Speaker Series. We have a great guest today, but first I just want to introduce you to Whisper if you don't know us. My name is Susie. I work in digital marketing for Whisper. Whisper is a wireless internet service provider specializing in rural internet and fixed wireless. This is our educational platform that we like to call Whisper University. So this is going to be the first of our speaker series, and today we are talking to Jeff Koziatek, who is a speaker, coach, and entertainer, and we're going to be looking at value and value-driven leadership and authentic leadership, and I will go ahead and let Jeff introduce himself.
Hi, I'm Jeff Koziatek with Core Authenticity. I'm a keynote speaker, certified life coach with the Values Conversation and the John Maxwell team, and a best-selling author. And I'm here to help other people experience more personal freedom and professional success, because it's awesome.
That's awesome. So
Thanks.
Why, you told me a little bit, but just to restate a little bit, why is this the field that you felt called to? Why did you feel like you needed to leave what you were doing and switch and come to speaking and coaching and this sort of entertaining hybrid?
Well, I feel like if you see an issue, you've really got one of two options, right? Either you move to address it and to engage with it, or you move away, right? You just pretend like it's not there, or you just say that's not for me. Personally, growing up, I received two messages. One was, find something you love to do and make that your job. I love art and people, so that was me. The other message was unintentional, and that was, your worth comes from your performance. It is totally tied to what you do. So if I wasn't performing well in school, if I wasn't performing well in sports or in art or fill in the blank, it seemed like people didn't really want to spend time with me. So I learned to perform to be worth people's time. And that drove me to become a massive workaholic. I was doing 350 shows every year on top of running a video production company, on top of running a photography studio, on top of being a parent, being a husband, trying to take care of me. Like it was too much. And I didn't take time off. I didn't take vacations. I could not say the word, I just said yes to everything because I couldn't say the other word, right? Because if I said no, then I was lowering my value and significance. I was lowering my worth. So I had to say yes. And there was no compass pointing which direction to go. So I was taking everything. And so that exhaustion, that fatigue, the burnout that comes with that, the relationship strain that results in, when I realized that it wasn't just me, but it was like everybody's got to deal with this, especially in a culture that prizes performance and output. I thought, here's something that I personally wrestled with for years until I realized where my value comes from. And then everything started to shift for me. My work reached another level of excellence. My relationships deepened. And then I was able to say no. I had a new superpower. And then I could say, okay, well, this aligns with my vision and mission. This aligns with my values. This does not. So I can set it over here. And that's okay. And as I experienced more personal freedom and more professional success, I thought, I want to share this with other people so I can help them reach the same thing.
That's beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I did get a chance to look through a little bit your outlines, your website stuff to see kind of what you're doing. And you have a presentation that caught my eye, which is your authentic leadership course presentation, however you want to describe that.
Whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. And mentioned a little bit about the 4 E's of leadership. So what are your 4 E's?
Yeah. Well, before I give you the 4 E's, I've got to tell you why they're important.
Okay.
Why we have them. I believe that you and me and everybody else, that we have value that is intrinsic, right? That is internal. It is not tied to something external. And by that, I mean, it's not tied to our success. It's not tied to the circumstances that we've overcome. Look at what I have overcome. I am amazing. Like, no. Like, yes, you are amazing, but your value doesn't come from that. You know, your value doesn't come from your mistakes. It doesn't come from who you know. It doesn't come from your stuff. Your value is internal. And as such, it cannot be lost, cannot be stolen, and it cannot be increased. Your value is always full all the time. However, our perception of that value changes on a moment-to-moment basis. And it's not like you can say, hey, Susie, you have value, stamp, you know, and now we're good. It's not a box that can be checked. So we created these 4 keys, or the 4 E's, to help people remind themselves of their worth and build on that. Actually, you're never going to believe this, but my book, Blueprint for Value, is divided into 4 chapters that go along with the 4 4
E's.
Yes, I know. So here they are. They are engage, equip, empower, and encourage. This is how we can strengthen and we can discover our own personal worth. Now, we can also flip it and use engage, equip, empower, and encourage to reveal and strengthen value in our teammates and in those that we lead. But for today, for authentic leadership, we'll just talk about how we do it with ourselves. Sound good?
Sounds good.
Awesome. All right. So it's, I mean, engage is where we stop and we take a look under the hood, right? We do what most people are scared to death to do. And we look in the mirror and we take an honest assessment. Say, okay, well, what's here? What are my strengths? What's missing that should be here? Where are the weaknesses, or where are the things that I didn't even know about? And then let's be real about what we've been ignoring. You know, like the dashboard light that pops on and says, hey, you know, you need to check this. And you're like, I'm just going to put a sticker over that so I don't see the light. You know, engage is where we stop and we take an honest assessment of all of those things. When I do coaching with people, this is where we clearly outline who we are as human beings, our personal vision and mission, and our values. After you've done the engage bit, then you can move on to equipping. Equipping is where we get the right tools for the right job. Now, those tools could be a mindset. They could be literally tools. It could be information. It could be opportunities. It could be relationships that will then connect us where we need to go. But along with those relationships, that's part of a bigger piece that I call fellowship, or your team. We could probably talk for an hour about the team bit, but I'm gonna, this is gonna, I don't mean for this to be a plug, but habit 26, fellowship, this is where I outline the 4 key people that you want on your team. You need to equip yourself with mentors, with cheerleaders, with givers, and connectors. Mentors that can push you and challenge you and disrupt you a little bit. Cheerleaders that can encourage you along the way. Givers that can give you, whether it's money or information or connections. Well, the connector is a special type of giver, but that's the 4th person. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right. So now that you've got all of that stuff, now that you've equipped yourself, then we move on to empower. And that's where we give ourselves the chance to lead, succeed, or fail without judgment, which is incredibly difficult to do when we align our personal value with what we do, right? So if we start seeing mistakes for who we are, we don't take the risk. If we say that our personal worth is tied to our professional success, then we're less likely to try new things or rock the boat or problem solve in a different way, because what happens if that doesn't work? Then the success we have drops, and so does our value. So by empowering ourselves from this foundation of intrinsic value allows us to take those steps and to take those risks and to continue to grow and not be defeated as a human being. Does that make sense?
It does.
Okay. Well, then we'll process on to the last one, encourage. Encourage is incredibly important because our society likes to say, you are what you do. That your behavior defines you. I mean, there's a whole bunch of books about that. But the reality is our behavior, all behavior is learned, and it comes from you. It does not define who you are. And so every day when you go out and you make a mistake, or you make another mistake, you make another mistake, it's really important to remind yourself where your value comes from. Zig Ziglar used to talk about washing your hands. He'd say, you wash your hands. Do you need to wash them again? Susie, the answer is?
Right now, yes.
Yes, yes. And why? Because your hands got dirty, right? So if we were to take that another step, same thing with our teeth. We brush our teeth once. Do we need to brush them again?
Yes.
Yes. Why? Because they got
dirty.
Okay. So now we're going to take it up another level and say it's the same thing with our brains, right? We're talking right now about how everybody's value is full all the time, that it's internal, not external. And then we go out and we walk into a world that says, you're not enough unless you have the latest iPhone 17,000. You're not enough unless you have 500 pairs of shoes. You're not enough unless you have this pickup truck, or unless you live over here, or you're married to so-and-so, or you're this or that, or you still have hair in your 40s. I'm just saying, there's lots of messages out there that will try to bring that value down. So we have to hashtag wash our brain. It's habit 52 because it's incredibly important. We have to keep doing that. Engage, equip, empower, and encourage. That's how we can discover and strengthen our own personal worth. If we don't do it in that particular order, if we just go right to encourage and we skip the first three, then we end up with a lot of those first episodes of America's Got Talent. It's like, maybe they weren't supposed to be singing. Maybe they should have equipped themselves with some singing lessons first and empowered themselves to practice in these particular areas before taking this particular stage. So, there it's kind of funny. You could say, if we just jump right to encourage, it's similar to giving a chainsaw to a small child. It's a go. You haven't engaged to find out if that child can handle the chainsaw. You should give, all of that stuff. So it's really important. Engage, equip, empower, and encourage.
Gotcha. So we at Whisper are very big on our core values, and that goes into our personal values as people when we're working on our leadership skills. And you mentioned it a little bit, right? You mentioned a little bit about your values and your value as a person, but more about personal values of things that you think are important. How can we translate that into our leadership with others?
Got it. I think our values form the foundation for our leadership, for our organizations. When I'm coaching individuals, everything builds from that. If we're taking action and it's not in alignment with our values, it will lead to more conflict because it's just not going to feel right. And if we don't know what our values are, we're not going to know why it doesn't feel right, but we know it just doesn't feel right. Versus if we take action that is in alignment with our values, then it feels good. I mean, there will still be conflict, but it'll be less conflict, and it'll feel much more approachable and manageable versus the other way. So it's really important that we know what they are. Not to mention, as leaders, when we say, here's what we value, bop, 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 this is it. Then everybody else that we're leading can say, okay, I know the lane that we're going in, and I can either choose to get on that lane, or I can say, you know what? I don't share those values. I should probably go over here. And then as leaders, we can have those conversations and say, hey, this is what we stand for as a company. This defines our culture, and we really believe in this, and we're going to stand behind it. And if you fit, great. If you don't fit, that's fine too. It's better that we have this conversation now before you get in and try to fit into a culture that doesn't, we just don't align. And to be able to have that honest conversation ahead of time is massive. And then as you're leading the organization, to be able to go back to that and say, here's our plumb line, right? Everything is, measures with this. You can always go back and say, does this follow what we say we believe? Yes or no? And if it's no, that's okay. You can just set it over here. Before I knew what my personal vision and mission was, before I knew what my values were, I said yes to everything. If it sounded good, I'm in. just because something is good does not mean you have to do it. And knowing what your values are helps to give you that compass.
All right. All right. One last major question for you. So I want to hear your elevator pitch. Somebody comes up to you in an elevator and says, hey, you're a speaker. I want to learn how to be a better leader. You have 2 minutes to tell them your best advice to be a better leader. What are you going to pick out to tell them?
2 minutes to tell them to be a better leader.
Your best advice, the most important bullet points that you could tell somebody.
I love Maya Angelou's quote. People remember they're not going to remember what you say or how you say it. They're going to remember how you made them feel. That feeling comes from the state of your heart. And that is a total representation of how you see your own personal worth. So as a leader, it is incredibly important that you recognize that on a scale of 0 to 10, your value is a 10 all the time. Because if you don't see yourself as a 10, you will not see that in other people. You'll never see value in somebody else beyond what you see in yourself. You might value what they do, you might value what they can connect you with, but that really takes the person and makes them an object that you're manipulating to get what you want. As leaders, it's imperative that we see value in ourselves first, so we can then see value in those that we lead.
I think that might have been exactly 2 minutes. Look at you.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you so much. This has been wonderful. Do you want to give us a plug for your book really quick? Where can we get it? Where can we find it?
Oh, this book?
Yes.
So Blueprint for Value is available on my website, coreauthenticity.com/author. On October 1st of 2020, we're releasing another book called Bright Spots. I'm a contributing author for that. And you can also pick that up at that same website, coreauthenticity.com/author. And then Blueprint for Value, Volume 2, where this one is about discovering and strengthening your personal worth. So this is individual. The next one will be about revealing and strengthening personal worth in others. So that'll be more about how leaders can use these tools to impact those that we lead. And you can find more information about speaking and coaching on that website as well, which is coreauthenticity.com.
All right. Thank you so much, Jeff, for talking with me today. I really appreciate it. Love to talk to you again in the future. It sounds like we have a few more topics we could cover. So if you're watching, leave us your questions and your comments down below. We'd love to hear them. Might come back and answer them. So leave us any questions that you might have for Whisper or for Jeff. If you want to catch up on our past episodes of our Whisper University videos, you can find them on the videos tab here on Facebook or YouTube. We also have our Twitter page if you'd like to follow us on Twitter. And we have a couple more great leadership speakers coming up. So keep an eye out, come back and see us, and we'll see you next time.